guess I should have asked, are you introducing, right?
Yes, we are. I just muted myself, not the thing I meant to do. We're live. What is up, you guys? Happy Tuesday. I just got off like 2 other calls, so that's why I'm a little frantic right now. Let me just present myself so that I can welcome everybody and then present you. What is up, guys? Happy Tuesday. It's August 15th. Like, where is this month going? All of a sudden, it was August, and now all of a sudden it's the middle of August. And I have a feeling that that's how the rest of this year is going to go in a flash. We're in a really exciting month right now. There's a lot of people going back to school, a lot of changes happening in people's lives, in our customers' lives, and in our coaches' lives. So trying to stay up on that. It is a Team Cup month, and everyone is slaying it right now. I know we're like 1 minute early, so I'm just going to wait for some people to hop on and do a couple announcements. So there are a couple people on the team who have made it into the top 200, which is really, really exciting. These are the official Beachbody lists that rank coaches diamond and above in the entire network. And Madison, June, Lily, and your team, you guys are 174. Megan Etchinson and your beautiful team, you guys are 124. And I might have mixed those around because I'm a little dyslexic at the moment. But Britta and your beautiful team, you guys are 90, which is just insane to watch everybody in the team sort of grow and come up on these lists is really super amazing. So if you are a diamond and above, you can find that number in your back office. And once you become diamond and above, that's something to kind of shoot for and look forward to. So it is officially 8 o'clock, and I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about our speaker before we begin and respect her time, so kind of start on time. I don't think I've ever talked to Ruth, and the first time we talked was at Summit, maybe, or after Summit. No, we didn't talk at Summit. We talked after Summit. But obviously, like, when you go to Summit, you know who everyone is, and you've seen everyone before, and you kind of see people, you know, you stalk them. It's like really weird, you know, intimate details about your life, and then you see them walking around Summit, and you're like, do I make eye contact? Do I not make eye contact? Like, I want to tell her she's really awesome, but then, like, I don't want to talk about, like, I don't want to be weird. Like, it's just like a very weird experience in Summit because we do all of our work on social media. But Ruth has really become someone who I respect. Her team is beautiful. She's growing an organization that is something to really be proud of. I mean, she's always been successful, been a coach for 3 years, but in this past year, her team has had immense growth and momentum, which is just awesome. And we related on a couple levels, and I spoke to her team last week, I think it was, and I asked her to come on here tonight and talk about really just what she's passionate about in the business and give you guys some tips and pointers and talk about some tactical stuff and strategies too. But this is definitely a call not to miss. So if you see a success partner that is not on, or you see a friend in the business that you know could use a call about comparison in the business and fear and getting over that, this is definitely something to be on and to share with people that you care about in the business. Now, let me pull up her stats because I don't want to forget any of them. There's a laundry list of them. So Ruth has been a coach since June 2014. She's a 2-time elite coach. So that means out of those 3 years, you know, 2 of those years she was elite. She's currently leading the #3 team in the company. She's a superstar diamond, which means she's a 15-star diamond and above. And she's an SC10 legend, which means she has no excuses hitting her Success Club 10 goal every single month, which is just so, so important and compounds into success. You know, if you guys listen to some of the leaders that I introduced on these calls, one of the common denominators of them is that they're always a Success Club 10 legend, all-star legend, you know, whatever comes after that. And she's also a 6-figure earner and an executive leader on the leadership ladder, which is the highest rank that you can achieve on that. So I will pass it over to you, Ruth, and you can take it away. I'm going to present you to everyone. Okay, go ahead.
Hey, everybody. Oh, I'm echoing. Am I echoing on your end? Okay, hopefully we're good there. I hope I'm not echoing. Now we're good. Wow, this is awesome. I'm so excited to be here on Bonnie Ingle, like the Bonnie Ingles team. And so you guys are on Bonnie's team, but from an outsider looking in, you know, this is like, I can honestly say that Bonnie was one of the first coaches outside, you know, my downline, like my coach's downline, that ever got on my radar, that was ever on my radar. And it's pretty funny because last week when she was doing my call, I tend to stay in my own lane up until this year, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But I tend to stay in my own lane, and I didn't come into Beachbody and start looking at top coaches. But I didn't realize that Bonnie and I started 3 months apart. I didn't know that until last week. I thought, for some reason in my mind, I thought she had started a year before me. And so last week I was like, you started in 2013, right? And she's like, nope, I started in 2014. And I was like, oh, dang. Because I had all of Bonnie's stats in front of me. And I thought I was doing like really well in this business until last week. And when I saw Bonnie's stats, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not very good at coaching. Now, how many of you guys are listening to that and you're thinking like, well, that's insane. Like, we just heard your stats. You're a top coach, you know, leading a great team. How many of you guys just thought to yourself, it is crazy that I heard Bonnie's stats and I decided in that moment, I'm just not really as good as I thought I was. Like, I'm not that great, right? Because essentially, Bonnie and I have been coaching the same amount of time, but she's $1 million earner. She was top 5 like her second year. She was actually the speaker at NLC when I was an attendee, right? And I could just sit there and allow myself to discount everything that I've done, every single life that I have impacted and helped become better because of comparison. And because essentially Bonnie and I are the same, but like Bonnie's business is just blown out of the water really, really quickly. And I could just allow myself to feed into that and decide in that moment last week that I wasn't good enough, or I am not as good, or I will never be as good, and just give up. But the fact of the matter is, that isn't true. And you guys can see that probably from the outside looking in. You're like, well, that's crazy thought. But how many of you guys have ever done that in your own business, in comparing yourself to someone else who maybe started at the same time as you, or maybe they even started later than you, right? Moira is a coach I know well. She started a year after me and she's just blown up. And I could be like, oh my gosh, Moira is just like so much better than me because she's moving faster. And I think what happens is we just get into this Beachbody world and we forget why we started. And we get caught up in the rank race, or maybe even the income race, or the top team race, whatever it is. And we forget truly why we started this business in the first place. And what happens when you do that is you give away all of your joy. And I don't know about you guys, but I didn't come into Beachbody to be a superstar diamond coach. I didn't know what that meant 3 years ago when I started. I don't know if you guys knew, but I didn't start Beachbody to be a superstar diamond coach. I didn't start Beachbody to be an elite coach. I didn't start Beachbody to be a top coach. I simply came into Beachbody because I wanted to be happy. I wanted to stop crying myself to sleep at night. I wanted to stop looking in the mirror and hating who I saw every single day. And when we get into this company, I feel like sometimes we forget why we started, and we allow comparison in every realm, whether it's our body or whether it's our income or whether it's our rank, to determine our happiness as opposed to just the reason why we started. So I'm going to ask you guys to go back to your roots with me tonight and to think about the day that you started Beachbody, what you imagined. because you probably didn't imagine, I didn't imagine ever, honestly, earning 6 figures with Beachbody. Yeah, right. I would have laughed at you if you told me I could have done that 3 years ago, because I didn't have that belief in myself. I didn't think I could do that. I didn't ever think I'd have abs when I started Beachbody. I definitely didn't ever think I would inspire anybody when I started Beachbody. And had I started comparing myself early on, I probably would not be where I'm at today, because I would have been racing somebody else. But does it really matter? When I started Beachbody, I told myself this, like, here's my deal. Like, I was going to go and work in the corporate world, and I was bound and determined that someday I was going to be at the top of my office. Like, I was going to be the CLO, Chief Learning Officer. I'll explain that in a minute. I was going to be the top. Like, I was going to be the person in charge. I didn't care how long it took me to be at the top of my organization at my old job. I was just going to do it. I realized it was probably going to take me 10 to 15 years to get there. And I realized it was going to take a lot of sacrifice. I was going to have to be the person who put in extra hours to get my face out there. I also realized I'd be super, super lucky if I earned 6 figures in my old job. Like, that would have taken me 10 to 15 years. So when I came into Beachbody, all I really wanted was to earn an extra $500 a month and to maybe earn $50,000 a year, so I could be a stay-at-home mom. So if you think about it like that, and you stop comparing yourself and stop putting timelines on your life and timelines in Beachbody and Superstar, Diamond, and Top Coach and Elite and blah, 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 blah. And if you just say to yourself, you're going to put in the hard work and you don't care how long it takes you to get there, you will get to where you want to be. But take the timelines off yourself and stop comparing yourself, and really think about it in terms of your current job right now. How many of you are going to earn 6 figures in your current salary, in your current job? And if you are, how long is it going to take you to get there? Because for me, it's going to take a long, long time if I ever got there. And if you are, when you get there, are you going to have all the vacation time you want? Are you going to have the freedom to work by your pool if you want to? Are you going to have the time to spend with your family in the evenings or in the morning? Are you going to be able to drop your kids off at work? That's what we're talking about here. And it's so much more than rank. It's so much more than any of that stuff. And it's so much more than looking at the person you're running beside and trying to compete or compare with where they're at in your business. So I wanted to start with that because it's something I truly went through last week. There's a piece of me that allowed myself to compare myself to Bonnie and discount what I've done in this business just in comparison. So I wanted to start there. But I am going to be talking more about that and about failure. But I do want to back up just a little bit, because here's the other thing. I think as we come in, whether you are a new coach or whether you are a veteran coach, there's this thing that we do, and we put people who are having success in their business on a pedestal. And what we do is we decide that this person has something special, maybe a secret, maybe they learned something and they haven't told the rest of the company yet. And they are now on a pedestal, and they have the special sauce that they are holding, and they're keeping it to themselves. And we decide that this is the truth. And we decide we can't be like them because they have the special sauce, when in reality, that's a bunch of crap. I'm going to be honest to you. I've been in this business for 3 years, and I've been pretty good for 3 years. Like, I've been pretty good at this business for 3 years. And no one has come to me asking for team calls. Very few people. I went to Bonnie asking her for a team call. Very few people. And today in my inbox, Danielle Natoni is asking if I'll do a team call for her team. I haven't changed, though. I'm literally the same person I was 2 years ago. There's no secret sauce that I figured out. There isn't anything. And I say that to you guys because I want you to realize, like, I am a hot mess. I can't tell you my secrets because I don't have any. And if I can do this, you can do it too. And there is no secret to this business aside from hard work, belief, getting over your fear. Once you can do those things, you can have as much success in this business as you want. But the first piece of that is all these people that you've put on pedestals, and Bonnie might be one of them, take them down. The day I found power in this business was the day I decided my upline, who is super successful, she has built her and her husband's business to $1 million businesses in 7 years. The day I became the most powerful was when I decided my upline coach wasn't that great, that she maybe had a few flaws, that she was normal, and that maybe I could do as well as her, or maybe I could do better. And that was a mental choice I had to say to myself. I had to take her down, and it was kind of weird. It's kind of like, I don't know if any of you ever went through this, when you realize like your parents, some of the things they told you growing up, they literally just told it to you. So you'd like do stuff and you're like, oh, mom and dad were kind of lying to me. It's kind of the same thing with our upline coach. We have to take them off that pedestal, because as long as you have them up there, you think you can't reach them. So knock them off. Whoever that top coach is, whether that's Bonnie for you or Lindsay or whoever it is that you have decided is untouchable, you have to look at them and say, they're not that great. I could probably do it too. I actually, honestly, you guys, I picture anyone who I've ever like had a girl crush on, I picture them at their house like crying and like being miserable. And I'm like, I bet they woke up really ugly today. I do that because it's true. And if you just look at social media and the crap on social media, you're going to be like running your head into a wall every day, because like it's social media. And while I do believe in being authentic, and there's a lot of authenticity I put into my stuff. At the end of the day, it's still social media, and it is all filtered how we want to filter it. And I think you should unfilter yourself, but there's a lot of people out there who don't ever unfilter themselves. They're always going to show you their best face or whatever it is. And so I literally, everybody, the only person I cannot see like that is Shalene Johnson. And I'm really trying to get there with her. I'm really trying to get there. She's just always, But I always take these top coaches and I think of them in like the worst case scenario, so I can then realize, okay, I can be just like that individual. And I had to start doing this when I was a new coach, you guys, because you're hearing me speak, but I came into this freaking scared. So scared of this business. So scared of what people would think of me. So scared. I was in a sorority in college. I was in a sorority in college that I didn't think I should be in because I didn't think I was pretty enough. I didn't think I was pretty enough to be in the sorority. I didn't think I came from a family that was wealthy enough to be in the sorority. I didn't drive a nice enough car. My parents didn't make enough money. I wasn't smart enough. And I didn't understand why I was in the sorority in college in the first place. I thought I was the misfit that squeezed in there. And I have spent my entire life looking at other women and deciding that I wasn't as good as them, that I wasn't as pretty as them, that I wasn't as smart as them. And I was just like the funny girl who was sarcastic, which worked kind of well for me sometimes. But like, I had all these walls up about who I was. And that was my story coming into this. And now I'm that girl who wasn't ever good enough. And I'm going to do multi-level marketing because my life sucks. Like, what? This is super embarrassing. It was super embarrassing for me to start this. But I'm going to tell you one thing. I was so scared of that. But do you know what I was more fearful of? I was more fearful of my marriage crumbling underneath me, because it was. When I came into this, my husband and I actually don't know the real number because I didn't look at it until a year into coaching because I was so terrified. But when I looked into it, a year into coaching, we were $245,000 of student loan debt. He's a veterinarian and I had a master's degree, $245,000. It was probably more than that. But I didn't look at it until I was a year into coaching. I literally had never looked at my debt until that day because I was so scared of that debt. But that debt, while my husband is a veterinarian, he was also doing a residency, so he was making under minimum wage. And so I was the breadwinner of our family. and trying to pay off our student loans. And we were fighting all the time about money, like literally all the time. We'd go out to eat and I'd kick him under the table. If he ordered an appetizer, I'd get real mad. Be like, what are you doing? You can't get an appetizer, like stop. And so it's just all the time. And I pictured my life in 5 years, and I pictured a divorce. I really did. I wasn't brought up, and my parents have been married forever. I wasn't brought up, where I saw divorces. It was like not what I was ever taught. But in my mind, I was like, this is terminal. Our marriage is going to fail because I can't take it. I actually shared on my social media last week. The month I started coaching, I packed my bags to leave. I wanted to leave so bad. And I had no money to leave. Thank God. Thank God I didn't have money to leave. But I was standing outside with my car keys, my suitcase, and I was like, how do I freaking leave? And I wanted to go so bad, and I couldn't even afford a hotel room for one night, even to just like get a plan together. And I was way too proud to call a friend and be like, can I sleep on your couch? So I went back inside. It was in that month that I decided what I was more fearful of. And I was more fearful of losing an amazing man because the stress of finances was taking its toll on our marriage than I was afraid to post on social media. So I sucked it up. I put on my big girl panties and I said, I'm going to fight for this business. I'm going to fight for this business because I want my life to change. Because Ben, my husband, is a great person and I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to fight with him all the time. So I decided to post on social media. And I don't know about you guys, but I really hate posting on social media. Do you know that about me? I actually still hate posting on social media. I made a post earlier today and I was like, I really don't want to post this, but I need to post something on social media. And hopefully Bonnie has just taught you better than that. But that's your number 3 coach, guys. Like, here I am, like still scared to post on social media, but guess what? I do it anyways because it's my job and because I want my life to change. But more than that, I have coaches on my team and I have challengers who are in my groups with me, and I'm asking them to do scary things. I'm asking them to trust me, and I have to show them the way. So I do it. I do the scary things regardless. And I want to ask you guys this question. I think so many of us are afraid of failure. And I want you to think about what you are afraid of right now. So what is your fear? What is that fear? Some of you guys are going to say failure. Like, what's that fear? And then I want you to think, if that fear comes to life, what does your life look like? If that fear you just said to yourself comes to life, I want you to really think about this. What does it look like in your day-to-day life? How does it play out? What does that tangibly look like? For me, my fear 3 years ago when I started was my current reality. And I think if you think about what you just said to yourself, and if you came in for any reason like I did, or maybe it's something similar, but is your fear your current reality that you are living? Is failure the exact same thing that you are living right now? And if you are playing it safe, and if you haven't went in, if you're lying to yourself about doing the vital behaviors, if you're just kind of scooting around on Facebook all day because you're afraid to really fail, you need to ask yourself what failure looks like. And is that already what you're living? Because 3 years ago, I'd say I was failing at life. $250,000 student loan debt, fighting with your husband all the time, going to work from 7 to 6, coming home and sitting on the couch saying, is this it? That's failing. I had literally already failed at life. And so you have to ask yourself, is the risk in doing, in acting, in putting that post on social media or inviting those 5 people every single day, And in that, if you fail, actually losing. Are you actually losing anything? So most of us, we're not giving up anything. We're not losing anything. We're not really risking anything. We put in $150, $160 to start this business to get healthy, right? Your worst case scenario, if you do one of the 4 vital behaviors, is that you're gonna get fit, you're gonna get healthy, you're gonna lose weight, right? That's the worst case scenario if you just do one of the 4 vital behaviors. But what happens is we let fear, we let doubt, and we let insecurity control our life, and we let it manifest this huge story in terms of like, what are my friends gonna think? What if I fail? What if no one wants to join you? Who cares? What if you do any of that? Like, you're never gonna know what your friends are gonna think because they're not gonna tell you because they're thinking it. They're not gonna say it. Most of them aren't ever gonna say it to your face. You're literally just making up stuff in your head about what they're thinking that I guarantee you they're not thinking. They're not thinking that much about you guys. They don't care what you're doing. They don't. If they do, they want to join you. And if they hate you, it's because you're successful. Brush your shoulders off. It ain't no thing. Like, our fears are irrelevant. And as long as you live in those fears, your business is going to stay right where it is at. Additionally, just as I said, I still have fears every single day. I still have fears every single day in this business. And I tell you that because when I started, I had the fear of social media and I had the fear of inviting. And then it got worse because someone told me it was a gimmick. And then my friend told me, like, made me cry at a July 4th party. This is right after I started. She was like, no, none of this stuff works that you're doing. Insanity doesn't work. Excuse me, if you're saying that, you've never actually done insanity the right way. Like, it literally works. But I'm like crying in the bathroom here 5 years ago or 3 years ago when I started. And I could have let that derail me, and I could have lived in that fear and decided everyone else thinks that about me. But instead, I pushed through the fear because the fear of losing my husband was the worst fear ever. So I did it. And I want to let you know how my fears changed and how I pushed through the fear to only realize none of it existed, but furthermore, we make it all up in our heads. I told you guys about how when I was in college and I was in a sorority and I didn't feel good enough, and I thought like I was the uncool girl, I wasn't pretty enough, whatever, la da 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 da. My biggest market to date are all of those women I thought I wasn't good enough for. Even in the beginning, they were my biggest supporters. From the moment I posted my first transformation picture, which, by the way, I like text my sister and I was like, hey, go say something nice. And then I shut off my phone and I went and watched a TV show because I was so scared. I did that the first 3 or 4 times I posted. I'd text my sister. And recently I wrote another post and I sent it to a friend. I was like, I'm scared to post this. Should I post it? I literally did that a month ago. Like, hello, like the fear is still there. I just push through it. So if you're allowing fear to hold you back, it's irrelevant. It's not real. My sorority sisters from day one, they have come crawling out of the woodwork to join my challenge groups, to say yes to my invites that I was scared to message them, to join my team when I invited them, and they'd be like, actually, I've been watching you. I would have never known that they were watching me if I didn't send that invite, if I didn't push through that fear, if I didn't make that post. But in doing that, I learned that I had all the walls up and I had all the stories. And it's not that I wasn't good enough, and it's not that I was uglier than everyone else, and it's not that I wasn't wealthy enough. It was simply my insecurities and my doubts about myself as a person. But once I put myself out there and once I allowed myself to push outside that comfort zone, I realized it wasn't them, it was 100% me. I had pushed all of myself, my thoughts onto them and acted like that's what they were thinking about me. But in reality, it was just me. It was just my fault. Let go of your fear. The second thing I want to talk to you guys about is being authentic in your journey, being real in your journey. And I think I do a lot of things wrong. Someone asked me to do a social media training with them this week, and I'm not going to lie, I was like, I'm really embarrassed about my performance. Like, I'm the last person you should ask to do a social media training. Like, training isn't really my strong suit, but okay, here it goes. And I do a lot of things wrong, and I'm not good at a lot of trainings, but what I can say is the thing I've done right from day one is I have been authentic, and I've been real, and I've been transparent, not just on social media. I put a very real story of my life out there. Sometimes I do make myself look better, let's be serious. But the words are real, the feelings are real, the struggle is real, and the success is real in that. And I've unfiltered myself. And the times when I stop being me are the times when I fail the very, very, very most. And when I stop being me, it's usually because I've started comparing myself to somebody else. And I'm trying to be someone else now. And doing that, it sucks the joy out of my business. So I want you guys to think about what it means to be you. And I always, I want to share this here. And I want you guys, if you have like, what you can do is pull up your phone and do a voice memo to yourself is like the easiest way to do this. And I'm going to ask you guys some questions, and gut reaction, go. What are your favorite pastimes or favorite hobbies? They're going to get harder. I'm starting you off real easy. Next question. What is your real favorite food? Next question. Remember, no one is listening. You're making a voice message to yourself. How are you doing in your fitness journey right now? Four, do you love working out? Explain. Yes or no, and explain your answer. 5, do you love eating healthy? And explain your answer. 6, I want you to remember a time that you accomplished something in your workout or in your physique that you didn't think that you could accomplish. When you go back to that time, and I want you to tell me how it felt. And I want you to tell me how you pushed through to get there. How did you have that breakthrough? How did it come to be in your life? Seven, I want you to remember a time you felt like a failure. Maybe you felt ugly, unsuccessful, you missed a goal, you had a huge cheat meal. How did it make you feel? How did you come back from that? And in what ways did you learn or grow from it? And lastly, I want you to remember a time that you were super proud of yourself. Why were you proud of yourself? How did you get to that point? And what challenges did you push through to get there? So if you are voice messaging those to yourself, or maybe you're writing it down, I hope you just answered with a gut reaction. And especially, some of the last ones, because it gets into deeper things. What I find that we do sometimes is we sign up to coach, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I love carrots. Yes, carrots are the best food. How did I not know carrots were so good? We morph to this person. I love working out. No, I really hate working out, actually. And we change because what we think we are now supposed to be, or what we think people would need to see from us, or what we think we should say, or what we think people need to hear. Instead of just being us, we now try and be like perfect us, the perfect us. And number one, perfect's not a thing. It doesn't exist. But number two, it sucks. No one wants to hear from perfect. No one wants to hear from a you who is now perfect and you love carrots and you love working out. Because if it was easy like that, and if everyone just loved carrots and working out, like we wouldn't have an obesity issue in the US. And people don't want to know if you love carrots because most likely, like, carrots suck, to be honest. I only eat them because it's a really easy vegetable to eat. And so I want you to look at those answers, and hopefully you were real with them, and hopefully you weren't trying to put out what a Beachbody coach should say or what a leader should say, but instead you were just real. Because what I also know is it's not just as a Beachbody coach. As you become a leader, we try and figure out how to be a leader, and we try and figure out what to say to our teams or how to lead our teams, and we start filtering ourselves to say what we think people need to hear. And I'm so guilty of this myself, when instead all we need to do is speak our truth. And in doing that, you're going to attract other people who feel the exact same way. Now, don't get me wrong. I know there are some health junkies out there, and you guys really do love carrots, and kudos to you. I've got a coach like you on my team, and she's very she's a food scientist. She knows all about food, and she's always telling me why I shouldn't eat like processed foods. And I'm like, hand me a Twinkie. And I love her. And she loves that. She loves the health world. She loves to know all the science behind the food and how it impacts our body. And that is her thing. And she did like this cool experiment once on Facebook and wrote a blog. And I was like, whoa, you are super cool. And I'm glad she did it because that's her. So if the health food world, if you are that person, embrace it. And maybe you do love carrots, and that's awesome. Because I guarantee you there's coaches like I just talked about out there who would think it's super cool, and they'll come to you because you're a carrot-loving person. But the point is, do you, and let that shine through. And don't change or filter your story because you think now perfection is what you have to be a coach. What I did early on, I was telling my mom a story about coaching. It was 4 months into coaching, and I was at home, and I was like, something cool had happened. And this is another thing, we feel like we're bragging. Something cool had happened. I was telling my mom about it. I was like, Mom, you got to listen to this, like, da, da, da. She looked at me dead in the middle of the conversation. My mom never tells me how to do anything. She never tells me what to do because she's so nice. She's like, Ruth, have you told people that on Facebook? And I was like, no, I want to brag. And she's like, you need to tell people that. People need to know that because you can help them do that. And I was like, oh, my mom called me out. My mom never tells me anything. So like the fact she's calling me out on me basically being selfish, because I'm like, well, what would people think if I told them this? You need to do that. You need to do those things. You need to unfilter yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the successes, all of it. Unfilter yourself. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm actually like filtering myself right now, and I kind of feel bad about it because I have the secret I haven't told the world yet. I'm not going to tell you right now either, so I'm being a huge hypocrite. But it's because I'm so scared of what people will think. So I still do it, you guys. I'm still sitting here living in fear about these things, and I still have to get over it. And I will get over it this week. It's my goal to get over it this week and post this announcement on Facebook. But I'm just so terrified about what are people going to think of me if they see this. Are they going to think I've changed? Are they going to think I'm a bad person? Are they going to think I'm boastful? And all these fears are still there. But guess what? It's not my job to get rid of the fear. It's my job to do it anyways. it's my job to share my truth anyways and keep going, because that's what I told people I'd do. I said I'd be authentic and real, and that includes the good, the bad, the successes, and everything ugly in between. And that is it. And additionally, as you progress through this and as you work through in your challenge groups, I encourage you to do this exact same thing as a leader in your challenge groups and as a leader in your team. So often when we become the leader, we think again, well, I can't tell them the truth. I have to tell them I had a great weekend and I didn't have any cheats. How about you go to your challenge group and you say, I had pizza this weekend. Like, I didn't just have one piece, I had half of pizza, and then I had ice cream too. And then I had the bottle of wine. And you guys, dang it, I'm not proud of that. It sucks, but you know what? It's Monday and I want to do better, and I want to do better with you guys. And I did suck it up over the weekend, but guess what? I'm a human being and it's okay. So I'm going to ask you guys, if any of you guys had a bad weekend, you know, you can drop it below, but regardless if you don't or you do, like, wipe it clean and let's go. Let's be better today. And let's not let that hold us back. Use your screw ups to lead your challengers and to also lead your team. If you have a team of coaches, the best thing I ever say to my coaches, especially when they ask me a question, is like, I don't know. If I actually don't know, I will say, like, I don't know. They're like, they'll ask me, like, when the UK was launching and I had no idea what I was doing in the beginning before I'd researched anything. And they're like, hey, what should we do? I'm like, I don't know. You got any ideas? Because I am freaking lost and I'm panicking and I don't know what to do. And I tell them that. And you know what? They see it for then what it is that I'm scared. I don't know what to do either, but I know what I want in life. So I'm going to go find a way to make it. I'm going to go find it. I'm going to go research. I like reached out to 4 coaches that I would have never reached out to in my life and asked them about UK stuff. Like, I was scared as balls. But I was like, go for no, go for no, go for no. The only thing that they can say to you is no or ignore you. So I messaged all these coaches, asking them for their time, which was super scary. But what was I gonna, if they said no or if they ignored me, hey, guess what, you guys? I still didn't know anything about the UK launch. If they said yes, sweet, I get some tips. But you don't know until you try it, until you get over your fear of failure, fear of rejection, or whatever it is, and you push through and you choose to make it happen regardless. So that's what I got for you. That was kind of all over the place, but again,
that was awesome. You know, I think it's always so interesting to me that especially the people that you don't think have insecurities have probably more insecurities than you realize. And I noticed this so much when, you know, I kind of broke the same barrier that you're talking about in my business, like the everyone's perfect type thing. And I started realizing all of these flaws about these people who, not flaws in a bad way, because of course I think everyone's talented and has their own strengths, but, you know, it's almost comforting to realize that the majority of people have the same fears that you do, and they have anxiety and they can't get over some things, and they're really fearful, and it's empowering. But I think the more important piece that you shared is, you know, fear can morph into so many different ways in our life. It can stop you from taking action. It can, and I am like #1 culprit of this. Like, I've suffered from anxiety my entire life. I will sit and think about a situation to the point of, like, I've created my entire rest of my life scenario on something that hasn't even happened, and 99.9% of the time won't even happen. Like, this is what I do to myself. So in terms of the business, I know that we get stuck behind these fears. I'm lucky enough that the business is not a fear of mine. Like, I don't fear what people think. I don't fear, of course, in the beginning I did. However, I think we build these stories of this fear that's going to happen if we do this or if we do that. And 99.9% of the time, none of that shit even happens. Like, and then you wasted a week of your life worrying about it. So I think, you know, that's really powerful, because I think that's the #1 thing that stops people is fear. Fear of posting, fear of asking, fear of inviting. And then once you invite and people ignore, fear of that happening again. And then it's like this vicious fear cycle. So I loved your questions about getting back to, okay, like what are the real things? Like, how do we really hone in on, like, let's not focus on the fear. Let's not focus on the comparison. Let's not put people up on a pedestal. Let's focus on our journey, and let's answer these real questions about ourselves, and then use that list to get out from underneath all of that stuff. Get back to who we really are, get back to why we really signed up, and just start talking about that. And just like your mom said, you know, it's so funny. I feel like moms get so much credit for this business. Like, I talk about stuff that my mom has said or not said to me my entire life and how I use it in my business. I think it's so cute. She loves it. But they, you know, it's that relationship, and they can really see inside our fears and our doubts and stuff. So it's interesting to think about, you know, the parent role, whether it's a father or a mother, and then think about in the business, like how, if you're a leader and how you're talking to people, and then, you know, if you're fearful, your parents can kind of call you out and your leader can call you out, right? Like, my mom always calls me out when she knows I'm like obsessing over something that's not happening. And I think as leaders, we can see that in other coaches. But just like that parent relationship, it takes a second for you to not say, oh, mom, shut up. Like, they're not just jealous of me. That's, you know, I really don't fit in. I'm really not a cool kid. And it's the same thing when your coach says it to you. It's like, shut up. You just want me to invite people. But like, it really is true. It just takes someone to be on the other side of the situation. So I loved that analogy. And I also love how you said, you know, like thinking about your accolades and the list of stuff that I read off, that can be intimidating. And it's very refreshing to hear someone who talks about, oh, Siri just started typing everything I'm saying. It's very refreshing to see you be real and see you be raw and see you be very open and say, hey, I still struggle with this stuff. I still picture people in the worst case that I want them to be in. I picture them waking up ugly. I was dying when you said that. But it, you know, it's so true. We have to kind of, you know, police ourselves and be aware of, you know, am I the only person in my way right now? Is fear the only thing stopping me? Because if so, it's fake and it doesn't exist. And then comparison as well. Like, we're all the same people, just the people who have had more success than you in whatever time frame. You got to let go of that time frame. I love that you said that. The only difference is consistency and getting over those fears faster, and then more consistency. It doesn't mean that someone's smarter than you or better than you. And I've had those comparisons this year too. Like with Ruth, even, like, she's slaying it right now. And I'm like, what am I not doing? How am I not being a good leader? Am I not there for my people? Am I not doing enough? And it's just, it's something that this business has forced me to work on, and I am forever grateful for that, because otherwise I would still struggle with all of those things, whether it be corporate world, in my marriage, or whatever. I'm so happy that you shared that piece about your marriage and that everything is better now. That is amazing. And also, I don't know what to do about the UK either. I'm just like, I don't know, we're just doing it.
Which is funny, actually, because I did talk to a coach, and she's like, coaches, they were both like, I don't actually really even know. Like, but in my mind, everyone else had already had this big UK marketing plan. They had like a stack of people, and I was like, oh my God, like, I'm failing. I made it up in my head that I was failing, and everyone else was already yards, you know, doing everything, and they had it all planned out. And then I was like, no, actually, everyone's exactly in my boat. We're all like lost in the ocean between the US and the UK. Like, what the heck?
Just paddling.
In circles.
Which is so funny, because there you just created a whole story for yourself that wasn't even true, and it ended up not happening. So I love that. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to everybody, and come on here and sacrifice your night for us. And I just thank you for being real and honest and true, and we love you. So thank you. And I hope everyone has an awesome Tuesday and an even better week. All right. I will see you guys later. Thanks, Ruth.
Thank you. Bye.